From a multi-million-dollar mega fight to an unlikely opponent accused of steroid use, Manny Pacquiao has just announced his comeback. And he's not fighting who you'd expect. It's no secret that fans from across the globe would flock to watch the iconic former champion step into the ring again. This makes it a big cash fight for whoever he chooses to face. And to the surprise of many, Conor Benn's name has been thrown into the mix. British boxing promoter Eddie Hearn revealed that discussions are taking place to make the unlikely matchup happen. But Conor's very career is in question following positive drug tests. Manny's reasoning in taking a fight with a man almost 20 years his junior is considered questionable by many fans and analysts alike. So let's take a deep dive into Manny's potential comeback and how a fight with the 26-year-old Conor might end up taking place. The name Manny Pacquiao is synonymous with greatness. Considered by many to be one of the greatest boxers to ever grace the ring, Pacquiao boasts a record of 62 wins and only 8 losses. He has set many records in the boxing world, including being the first boxer ever to win world titles across 8 weight divisions, as well as being the first boxer in history to win world championships over 4 decades. And that's only a couple of the records he's set. With a resume like that, it's easy to understand why Pacquiao holds GOAT status in the eyes of millions of fans. Boxing has treated him well, as he's reportedly generated more than $1.3 billion in revenue across 26 pay-per-view bouts and was the second highest paid athlete in the world in 2015. After a long and illustrious career, the 44-year-old announced his retirement in September of 2021 following a loss via unanimous decision to Yordenis Ugas. After a failed presidential campaign in his native country, the Philippines, Pacquiao announced he'd return to boxing in late 2022. After defeating a Korean YouTuber named DKU in an exhibition bout in December of 2022, it seems the former champion has set his eyes on returning to fight professionally, and this leads us to his unusual and controversial potential opponent, Conor the Destroyer Benn. Benn's the son of the former 2-division champion Nigel Benn. Conor's held the WBA welterweight title since 2018, and with an undefeated record of 21-0, he's made a name for himself as a ferocious young champion. However, recently, a cloud has been cast over the young fighter's glory, damaging his reputation and potentially barring him from ever boxing in the UK again. Benn was set to face Chris Eubank Jr. in October of 2022 for a £25 million mega fight, but the bout was dramatically cancelled just 48 hours before it was set to take place. The cancellation occurred due to Conor failing 2 drug tests, one in July and one in September, which led the boxing board to prohibit the fight, announcing the bout was not in the interests of boxing. In the tests administered by the Voluntary Anti-Doping Agency, VADA, Conor tested positive for trace amounts of the female fertility drug clomiphene, which is a drug that can be used by athletes in an attempt to increase their testosterone levels. This has led to the young champion being put under investigation by the World Boxing Council, WBC, the UK Anti-Doping, UKAD, and the British Boxing Board of Control, BBBOC. While the WBC has recently revealed that it will rule in Benn's favor, reinstating him into the rankings at his former position of 5th-ranked welterweight in the world, UKAD and the BBBOC have yet to make a decision on his fate. And unfortunately for Conor, their decisions hold more weight, seeing as the Board of Controls can choose to ban Conor from boxing if they're unsatisfied with his defense. All of this has got to be stressing Benn right out. While this heavy cloud of uncertainty hangs over the young champion's fate, it hasn't stopped his promoter and well-known boxing personality, Eddie Hearn, from raising eyebrows and expectations. Hearn revealed talks have been taking place behind the scenes between Conor Benn and Manny Pacquiao's camps. And in a recent interview, he said,
I would not be surprised to see Conor Benn fight Manny Pacquiao next.
But followed up by saying that the priority for Benn right now is the WBC ruling. I mean, duh, Eddie. How's he supposed to fight Manny if he's not even allowed to box? Longtime fight agent and advisor to Manny Pacquiao, Sean Gibbons, weighed in on the potential bout, saying Manny's very interested in a fight with Conor, but that a full exoneration of the young athlete will be needed before any dealings can proceed. Now, while those discussions are taking place, fans are having discussions of their own, and they're questioning the motivations of this seemingly mismatched bout. For one thing, Manny, despite being a legend of the sport, is 44 years old, and there's no question he's still a skilled fighter. But his surprise loss to Yordenis Ugas almost 2 years ago left many fans wondering if the former champ still has what it takes to compete at such a high level. Having retired with his legacy still intact, fans don't want Manny to come back unnecessarily and finish his career on an even worse note. Asking themselves what he has left to prove, fans are speculating whether Pacquiao's in need of money, which returning to fighting would definitely offer him, or if he simply suffers from an addiction to boxing that so many former champions feel after retirement. Renowned journalist Colin Hart seems to share this feeling with the fans, branding the return of Pacquiao against Ben as tragic, and lending credence to the theory that Manny must be in desperate need of the cash this type of bout could drum up. It seems despite his legendary accolades, not many can see how the former 8-division champion could benefit from returning to box a much younger and fresher opponent. He's more than 20 years older than Ben. He could be his dad. After the tumultuous year Conor Ben has had, it wouldn't be surprising if his promoter Eddie Hearn, who's known for his ability to hype up fights, is simply throwing out big names, using Pacquiao's status and fame as a way to keep his disgraced fighter's name in the public's mind. Or the fact that if the fight actually took place, it'd be a huge payday for not only Ben, but Hearn himself. All in all, it doesn't seem like this matchup makes too much sense. Not to the fans, and definitely not to the experts. A 44-year-old veteran, no matter how great, squaring up with a 26-year-old current champion for a professional bout just doesn't sit right with most boxing fans. And many seriously doubt the older fighter's ability to step up to the task and keep his legacy intact for his adoring fans. Now, would it bring eyeballs and generate huge pay-per-view numbers? Absolutely, without question. And Eddie Hearn seems pretty confident of that, going on record having said, "Every effing person in this country will watch this fight." But as the cloud of his 2 failed drug tests and a pending ruling from the Board of Controls hangs over Conor Ben's head, Manny Pacquiao seems in no rush to return to the professional boxing ring just yet. Only time will tell if the two camps will be able to reach a deal. So, from a multi-million-dollar mega fight to a younger opponent hounded by steroid allegations, that's how the legendary Manny Pacquiao just announced his boxing comeback.